baseball fans, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? The stove is, I don't know, a little warm. It's been ice cold, but maybe it is starting to heat up. We got a little something on Josh Hader today, and a surprise team is in the mix. Could the Cubs be heating up? Could they be making a couple of big moves? We'll dive into that. And my goodness, the stove is so cold that people are focusing on a bidding war for Adam Duvall. How you doing, everyone? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Right around 150 people in the chat. I can't talk. How you doing, everyone? Good evening, good evening. A lot of familiar faces in the chat. How you doing, everyone? Thank you for stopping by. Not too long of a show tonight. I don't know what is going on with this offseason. It is just a block of ice at this point. Anytime we see something kind of happening, feels like every reporter is jumping on it as quickly as they could. When the Josh Hader stuff came out today, man, every baseball reporter was going crazy for it. Because it's like, oh, we got something. We got news. I mean, my goodness, we're less than a month away until pitchers and catchers reporting. And we still have so many free agents on the board. You know, hey, I mean, at some point, something's got to give, right? And remember with the lockout a couple of years ago, when that lockout got lifted, remember how fun that was after, when we had all these signings, we had all this activity. So who knows? Maybe we're in store for that. It does seem like, according to some reporters out there, one of them being John Heyman, you know, maybe we're going to start to see some activity over the next week or so. Hopefully, we really need something. And there's teams out there, hey, they need a boost, man. They need something, right? There's teams that still have a lot of things to check off on the list, including my Red Sox, including the Cubs, who we'll talk about tonight, the Angels. They could still make some moves. We'll get into it tonight. Everyone, thank you for stopping by. Again, if you can, real quick, hit that like button for me. The goal is 200. I mean, we got 200 people in the chat. I don't see why we couldn't get to 200. We will see. But everyone, hit that bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time, especially if something breaks. And, hey, that's when you're going to want to know that you got that bell notification on. Share the show if you can. Subscribe if you are new. And everyone, I did post a video earlier. You know, it's going to be one of those little hot button kind of videos. It's on Trevor Bauer. I came up with some possible teams if he were to sign back with for a Major League Baseball contract this year. I listed 5 teams that I think would be a good fit. Go check it out. Go leave a comment on it. Tell me what you think. But everyone, let's get to the show. And, you know, we're going to start off with the biggest news of the day. I wish we had some more to talk about, but here we go. Josh Hader is in the news, and a team that I really wasn't expecting all that much. The Houston Astros are making a push for him. Now, you might be thinking, the Astros? Why the Astros? Why, oh why, would the Astros be involved? They got Ryan Presley. Well, if we go take a look at the bullpen as of right now, yes, you got Presley as the closer. You got Abreu as one of the setup guys. Rafael Montero, a down year for him last year. He is projected as one of the setup guys. They're hoping for a bounce-back season from him after signing him to a deal. And, you know, you're probably thinking, where does Hader fit in here? Well, listen, you just lost Hector Neris, one of your setup guys. And if you brought in Hader, I would imagine Presley would shift to more of a setup role. And I'm just saying, don't forget about Graveman as well. He's going to be out. So I wonder if this is more kicking some tires. I don't know. It feels like it doesn't feel like a Houston Astros kind of a move. You know, it feels a little off to me. I guess maybe if the years are on the lower end, I could maybe see something like that. Hold on one second. Okay, never mind. Sorry. But I'm wondering how serious it could be. Is it just kicking tires? Is it? I don't know, because he's reportedly looking for a record deal for a reliever. Edwin Diaz has the biggest contract for a reliever of all time. I personally think he's going to have a hard time topping that unless you put incentives at the end of it, where maybe that could kick it up, possibly higher than Edwin Diaz's record contract. We'll see. But I have a hard time seeing the Astros really going for him here. I don't know. I feel like, again, it's a slow off season. Was it maybe just a phone call? Someone got word of it, and all of a sudden, whoa, hey, we got some news here. We got to throw this out there. It's a slow news, not a slow news day. Feels like a slow news week, slow news month so far. So who knows how serious it is? I wonder. But it just, to me, it doesn't feel like an Astros kind of a move, especially when you have Presley already as the closer. It just feels a little odd. So could it be a leverage thing? Could it be something, again, the Texas Rangers have been one team that have been labeled as the favorites for Josh Hader for a while now. So could this maybe be something to try and get them going a little bit? The Angels have been connected to Josh Hader. Could this be something to maybe get them going a little bit? It feels like leverage to me. I could be wrong. I've definitely been wrong a lot. It feels like leverage, though. Because it's just such an un-Astros kind of a move, especially when you already have one of the best closers in the game. Granted, though, Presley is 35. So that is something to think about. And actually, taking a look real quick with Presley, he is going to be a free agent after this coming year. So, and there is a vesting option as well. So I do wonder if maybe the Astros are looking at it more of like a long-term kind of a thing. But you got to think with Presley, he's one of the better closers in the game. So it's just kind of an odd situation there. However, I will say this with the Astros. They definitely could use some help in the bullpen. Last year in relief pitching Fangraph WAR, they only ranked 18th overall. Yeah, good amount of strikeouts per 9, 10 strikeouts per 9. That was actually the highest in baseball last year. Walks were fine. They're giving up a couple of home runs out of that bullpen last year. Overall, solid numbers for the most part, but right around the middle when it came to the Fangraph WAR. In the second half, though, they definitely struggled. 24th overall in the second half. Now, they got the job done for the most part, but the 4.66 FIP is showing a little bit of possible leakage there, and especially now that you don't have Neris, right? And, and obviously Graven's going to be out, so, who knows how this bullpen could be. I will say this, though. If this is not kicking the tires, if this is not a leverage kind of a play, which it very well could be because two teams in that division are connected to Hader. So, John Heyman. What is John Heyman saying? Yankees improved their team. Okay. Anytime I'm seeing anything pop up on Twitter, I am looking at it because we need something. Anyway, but if you look at the bullpen, if you had Hader, Presley, and Abreu at the back end, I mean, that is nasty. I mean, you definitely, you cannot deny that. I mean, you basically, if you get to the seventh inning, I mean, you got to have it, like, I would imagine, like a 98% chance that you're winning that game. If you have a lead going into the seventh, I mean, it feels like game over at that point. I mean, you'd have Abreu for the seventh, Presley for the eighth, Hader for the ninth. I mean, come on. That is just ridiculous. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening here. One other thing to take note of is that the Astros, back at the deadline, they had interest in both a starter and a reliever on the Padres, according to Chandler Rome, but they never got on the board. And this person right here, Levi, said, probably Lugo. Very interesting, because Lugo's name did pop up. So I would imagine that probably was what they were going for. I would imagine it probably was, I don't know, probably not Snell, I would think, right? But Lugo probably seems like the guy. But if it was Hader they were interested in, hey, that could say something now. But again, I wonder if it is a kicking tire, leverage, something like that. It just feels weird that the Astros would want Josh Hader. But let me know what you think in the chat. Do you think this could be real? Do you think the Astros could actually land Josh Hader? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments as well. But speaking of betting odds, everyone, we're going to talk about tonight's sponsor real quick before we get to the other two topics. And that is BetUS, proud sponsor of the channel. They have been helping out greatly over here. And hey, easily your best stop for all your online betting needs. You can do sportsbook, you can do the live betting, you can do casino, you can do the race book. They got promotions all the time. If you click the link in the description down below, you get a 125% bonus. And looking at the current odds as of right now for some free agents with Cody Bellinger, right now they're actually listing the Blue Jays at even. So they're giving the Blue Jays a lead there. I wonder if the Blue Jays could still be in this thing. Who knows? Bringing back Kiermaier, I don't know. But then they give the Giants the next. I don't know. For some reason, they're still putting the Yankees here. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. But I probably wouldn't go with that. But right now, we'll talk about the Cubs in just a second. I got to think the Cubs probably got the lead. Funny enough, another team that is not being listed here, they're not listing the Angels for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. But as for Hader, right now they still give the betting odds favorites to the Texas Rangers, the Yankees coming up next, the Dodgers after them, as well as the Phillies. I would imagine he's not going back to the Padres. So one of those teams definitely could be a fit, but hey, the Astros are not on their betting favorites at this point. So, and then Matt Chapman, that's another one. We got the Giants as the current favorites. The Cubs are up next, followed by the Yankees. I don't see that one. So, to me, I would think for Chapman, it's either going to be the Giants or the Cubs. We will see. But don't forget, everyone, we have football. I know this is a baseball channel, but we are kind of in the thick of things with football at this point. Super Bowl is not too far away. We got some matchups this coming weekend. We got the Bucks and the Lions. They got the Lions as the favorite at -140. And then if we go further down, look at all these different ways you can throw a bet down. So many different ways to play. My goodness, it takes up my entire screen. I don't know what is even going on there. Let me actually go back over here. Let's go see. The Chiefs and the Bills, as of right now, they are, I would imagine, I don't know. That's going to be a good matchup, the Chiefs and the Bills. I'm not quite sure about that one. But as of right now, they are leaning slightly towards the Bills at -120. That's going to be a good matchup. I would say this. If the Bills, if they win that, I could see them getting to the Super Bowl. And then if we go take a look at the Packers and the 49ers, let's go see what the odds are there. I would imagine probably the 49ers would get the edge there. Taking a look. As of right now, yep, they're giving the 49ers at -155 on the money line. And then for the Texans and the Ravens, I mean, CJ Stroud, man, he looked really good last weekend, but they are leaning towards the Ravens in this one, -180. I'll tell you, I'm not really a football guy, but man, if there's ever a time to go with an underdog pick, I feel like the Texans could be a fun one for this one. I don't know. We'll see. The Ravens with the week off, the Texans, they got some momentum. Maybe go with a Texans pick here. I wouldn't be totally against that. I don't know, maybe I'll even throw something down myself. But definitely go check out BetUS, everyone. The link is in the description down below. There's a whole bunch of different ways to play. Speaking of the Cubs, let's talk about them. So, according to Buster Olney, now Buster Olney isn't really, the top dog at ESPN anymore. It is Jeff Passan. We all know this. But Buster Olney, hey, he's still out there. He still probably he has to know some people out there. But he did say this. A high-ranking evaluator believes the Cubs will make the most impactful moves the rest of the offseason. They are the team to watch. Remember, before they signed Imanaga, I was saying, what is going on here with the Chicago Cubs? What is happening? What are they doing? All right, because this was a team a lot of people were thinking, could even get Ohtani, right? We were hearing about the Cubs a lot in the early going, and then all of a sudden it went quiet. I'm thinking, what are the Cubs doing here? Now, the guy that seems to make the most sense for the Chicago Cubs at this point is Cody Bellinger. You got to think Cody Bellinger is the number one option for the Cubs at this point. It makes all the sense in the world. I mean, you got Tauchman out in center field at this point. He did okay last year. He had a 363 on base over 400 plate appearances. But Bellinger is clearly the guy, right? I mean, you got to think with Bellinger in this lineup, that's definitely one of the better lineups in the game. But with Cody Bellinger, to me, I kind of look at the old saying, don't fix what's not broke. If I'm Bellinger, I want to go back to the Cubs, unless there's something else that maybe he didn't like. I don't know. Maybe he feels good that he can go somewhere else, work with some new people, new coaching staff, and he'll be fine. Maybe he feels that way. But to me, I'm kind of one of those where if something's working, I don't want to fix it. I don't want to try and even mess with it. I say go back to the Cubs, right? It's going to come down to what is going to be the right deal at the end of the day. And, speaking of the deal, let's actually go to one of my favorite sites out there, baseballtradevalues.com. And I've been going to this a lot lately, the player value timelines. Let's go see what they are projecting for a Cody Bellinger contract. And really, when we think about this, everyone, obviously Scott Boras, he's kind of ruining this offseason at this point. But with Bellinger, you had the 3 down years with the Dodgers, bounce back year this past year with the Cubs. That was great. But you got to think with Boras, he's going to wait out until he cannot anymore, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you see Bellinger even still a free agent after pitchers and catchers report. That's honestly how far I think Boras is willing to drag it out. Now, will Bellinger want to drag it out that long? I want to say this. AJ Pierzynski, he made a really good point on their show on Foul Territory. And I've been saying this too. I'm not the only, I feel like I was the only one even saying this out there. The agent works for the player. I don't care if you're Scott Boras. I don't care how good you've done. If I want something done, I'm going to tell my agent I want it done. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those things. Like, dude, again, if Bellinger is willing to wait, sure, okay. But if he wants to get signed, you got to tell Boras, man, listen, I want something done. I want to report. I want to go to my new team. I want to figure this out, right? But it also makes me think, is Bellinger just this whole time thinking about going back to the Cubs at this point? Especially if he is willing to wait. If he's willing to wait it out, he probably just is thinking he's going back to the Cubs, right? Now, if Bellinger were to go back for, say, I don't know, like a 6-year deal, right? Baseball Trade Values is projecting right under $20 million per year. Now, I do think Bellinger is going to beat this. I would think with Bellinger, he's probably going to get a little closer to what Fangraphs was projecting, 6 at 144. Because if you look at the numbers from this past year, and he's only 28 years old. I mean, these are really good numbers. He hit 307, the 356 on base, the 525 slugging. These are great looking numbers, right? Some of the advanced numbers are a little lower, the exit velocities, but I think with Bellinger, the more removed he is from those down years, which did have a lot of injuries, messing with the timing and everything. I think those advanced numbers are going to pick up a little bit. I'm not really concerned about Bellinger as long as he stays healthy. So with Bellinger, 6 years on baseball trade values, they're thinking 6, right around like 115, a little lower, around 19.5 per year. While Fangraphs, they are suggesting 144, which would be 24 per year. I would lean probably more towards that. Maybe you could settle at like 22 per year over 6. So that would be like a 6-year 132. I'd probably say, honestly, I would go 140 over 6. That probably seems to be the right amount. Maybe you could go a little further. Maybe you could do 7 years. That would go into his age 35 season. BTV, they're projecting 18.5. Maybe you could do 20 million over 7. That'd be 140. I would also imagine, too, with Bellinger, because he has had the injuries in the past few years, minus this past year, and obviously the inconsistencies, maybe there will be some options thrown in there, some player options, maybe team options, maybe, who knows, maybe an opt-out or something. I do think there is going to be some... some little details, right? Little clauses put in there, incentives and whatnot. I could see that with Bellinger. So if I were to pick one guy that would go back to the Cubs, I'd probably say Bellinger. Now, if we're following along with what Buster Olney's saying, they are the team to watch. They will make the most impactful moves. If there is another move that they could make, if it's in the offense, I would honestly think probably Matt Chapman. I've been saying Matt Chapman. I know a lot of people groan at that. But listen, man, I will say it once again. Matt Chapman, Dansby Swanson in this lineup, on the defense here, that would just be incredible on the left side of the infield. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, that would be amazing defense, right? Nothing would get through there. I've said this a million times. I wonder if Matt Chapman ends up being an option for them. I've been thinking this whole offseason the Giants are just a slam dunk. But then again, maybe the Giants, I don't know. Maybe they're not as interested as maybe people think. I wonder if maybe the Cubs could be an option here. And then there's another guy out there that I do wonder about, and this was actually in my free agent predictions. I wonder if a guy like Blake Snell could be of interest to the Cubs, or Jordan Montgomery. That's possible. John Heyman mentioned Jordan Montgomery and the Cubs. I wonder if the Cubs are thinking about upgrading the rotation a little bit more. Now you're probably thinking, well, they got Steele, Tyone, they just signed Imanaga, Hendricks, you got Wicks. Yeah, I think you could go into the season with that rotation. Remember though, Jordan Wicks only has 7 major league starts. You don't necessarily have to rush him right now. You could put him into that, into a long relief kind of a role at this point. Get him a little bit more experience in the major leagues, or you could just put him into the rotation. He is a high floor kind of a guy, so I think sticking him at the back end of the rotation is completely fine. I think they're okay with that, but I think if they maybe see an opportunity to land Montgomery or Snell at the years and the money that they're thinking, I wouldn't completely rule that out. I think Blake Snell would be amazing for this Cubs rotation. I mean, goodness gracious. Could you imagine that? Snell and Steele at the top? That'd be fantastic. I think, however, more likely you're going to see some upgrades in the lineup. That's where I think you're most likely going to see any additions, right? We'll just have to wait and see. But I do agree. I do agree that they definitely could be a team to watch. And another thing I didn't mention either, could they do something for this bullpen? Alzolay really emerged last year, very good overall, number 21 when it came to the Fangraph relief pitching power rankings. Could they maybe do something else for this bullpen? Could they come out of nowhere and maybe go sign Josh Hader and all of a sudden he's their closer, right? So keep this in mind. Look out for the Cubs. Buster Olney, I feel like he's missed just way more over the past several years, but this is actually one that I can buy into because I've been waiting for this Cubs team to do something, right? They did Imanaga. I saw something like that happening this offseason for them, but I feel like there is another move they could make. And if that move ends up being just bringing back Bellinger, hey, that's pretty good if you ask me. So, everyone, before I get to the last story, if you can, hit that like button for me. We're at 110 likes. The goal tonight is 200. Can we get 90 more on the likes? It is a slower night, so it's going to be tough to get to it, but I think we can do it. Let's talk a little Adam Duvall. Who would have thought Adam Duvall would be the center of a bidding war at this point? We got all these free agents on the board. A few that I just mentioned. Bellinger, Chapman, Snell, Montgomery. And the guy that's involved in a bidding war is Adam Duvall. Who would have thought? Hey, I like Adam Duvall. I'm just saying. But John Heyman, he had the story earlier. And this was just a few hours ago. The Red Sox and the Angels are in the bidding for Adam Duvall. Unless someone else comes in late, he's likely to pick between those two teams. Very interesting. Another team that I thought for Adam Duvall could be good would be the Minnesota Twins. Michael Taylor is a free agent, so maybe they could pivot to someone like Duvall. I would say Duvall and Taylor. I would imagine Duvall is going to cost more money. Be more expensive than Taylor, but I would love to see what Duvall could do for the Twins, right? A power bat for them. I think that could make some sense. However, the Red Sox and the Angels make some sense too. Funny enough, with the Angels, I never actually really connected Duvall and the Angels in my head, but when I saw the Angels pop up in this report, I'm like, oh, well, that does make sense. I was thinking maybe Michael Taylor could be a good fit for the Angels. I just did a video the other day, the best fits for free agents out there, and I had Michael Taylor with the Angels. I thought, or with the Padres, sorry. And then the Angels were a team I was thinking about for Michael Taylor as well. So Adam Duvall, though, yeah, that could absolutely make some sense for the Angels, right? They lost Ohtani, but hey, all is good. All is good in Angel land. You can just replace Ohtani with Duvall. Who needs Ohtani when you got Adam Duvall? I'm just saying. The one thing with Adam Duvall that could make some sense is Mike Trout is a guy, in my opinion, with how much he's been getting hurt over the last few years, I think it would make some sense to move Trout out of that center field spot or a very demanding position. Not saying, when healthy, he can't play it, but I would think just to try and preserve him a little bit more, preserve those legs a little bit more. Maybe stick him into more of that left field DH kind of a spot, and then that could open up something for Adam Duvall. Now, the one thing with the Angels I do wonder about, again, I'm a guy that likes balance, right? And I'm looking at the lineup, and I'm wondering, you got a lot of righty bats. You got Rengifo, switch hitter at the top, but you got a lot of righty bats. And Adam Duvall, at this point, you're just adding another right-handed bat. Now, Moniak, if you do bring in Duvall, Moniak at this point would be the left-handed bat. He would be that platoon guy where Duvall would be the righty. But with Duvall, he can play all three outfield positions, so he can go, play some left on the days where, Trout needs a day, right? He can obviously go play center field. Then he can play right. So Duvall makes a lot of sense when it comes to the righty-lefty, but they have so many righties already. You only got two lefties and a switch hitter in this lineup. So if you bring in Duvall, you're going to be a pretty righty-heavy team at that point. So, I wonder about that. However, the versatility, adding some offense, does make sense. And with the Angels, There have been reports lately, Artie Moreno, not sure what he's wanting to do with the future of the Angels. Does he want to sell? So there's been some word out there that does he really want to go crazy for some free agents out there? Or maybe they want to keep it a little more on the lower end. So Duvall would fit into that profile. But I could definitely see a situation where Duvall could go to the Angels. However, it would seem at this point that the Red Sox would make more sense. Now, I was on the Jorge Soler train for a little while. Then it was coming out that the Red Sox wanted to have more of a rotation at the DH spot, and I was actually told that as well a little bit before that, where the one problem with Jorge Soler is he is more of a DH at this point. And if you put him out in the outfield, you're not really going to get a whole lot of production from him out there. It's going to be pretty subpar defense, right? So Jorge Soler would be more of the DH, where Alex Cora, he likes to have versatility. He likes to have guys that can move around, play some different positions, use the DH spot as more of that spot to, get guys off their feet a little bit, kind of hide some bad defense as well. Like Yoshida should be more of a DH at this point. So I can understand why Soler wouldn't be the best fit for their philosophy. I would still love the bat, though. My goodness, Jorge Soler at Fenway Park. Oh, that'd be electric. But Duvall obviously makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox. You got Justin Turner as well. The one thing with Justin Turner, though, that I want Red Sox fans to keep in mind, Turner made $15 million last year, including the buyout. All right. When he opted out, he got the buyout. So $15 million overall for Justin Turner, but he was only worth around $9 million last year, according to Fangraphs, with what he did on the field. So not great value when you look at it from that point. So yeah, Justin Turner had a pretty decent year, but the return on investment, when you look at what he made in the end, wasn't great. So, but since he made $15 million last year, I would imagine he's probably going to be looking for something in that 13 to 15 range, right? Just simple, hey, I made $15 million last year. Wait, you want me to take a pay cut of $8 million? No way. So he's not going to do that. I don't see him getting like $10 million, right? I think he will end up getting something in that $12 to $15 million range. So for the Red Sox with Adam Duvall, he was worth around $15 million last year, but he only made $7 million, right? The Red Sox, they're looking for more value right now. They're not looking to spend a whole bunch of money, and they're looking to keep the years down. So with Duvall, you could see that 2-year deal, right? Probably maybe around like 10 to 12 million. He made 7 last year, did pretty well, but he was injured. He's been injured the last couple of years, so he was worth 15 million last year. So maybe you kind of meet in the middle. Maybe you end up settling for like a 10 to 12 million dollar AAV. So that seems to fall in line with what the Red Sox are probably looking for. Justin Turner does make sense based off of the years, but if you're looking for more value, Duvall did show more of it last year. So Duvall, yeah, he doesn't really fit like that middle of the order presence, right? But it's a righty bat. You could figure it out, right? They got a whole bunch of bats here. So now the question is, if the Red Sox do bring in Adam Duvall, if they bring him back, now you have a lot of outfielders. And I know they want to have a rotation, but you got Jarren Duran. Now you also brought in Tyler O'Neill, right? Tyler O'Neill essentially took Adam Duvall's spot, and then you're bringing Duvall back, right? So you got Duran, O'Neill, Duvall, Yoshida. I mean, Ref Snyder on the bench. I mean, Wilyer Abreu as well, right? You got a lot of outfielders there. So that's 6 outfielders altogether, right? Let me make sure I got that right. Duran, Yoshida, Abreu, O'Neill, Ref Snyder, and Duvall. That's 6 outfielders. So how the heck you can have 6 outfielders on this roster? I don't see that happening. So that would mean, to me, it's probably some kind of a trade that would have to happen. Or there's a righty bat on the bench in Rob Refsnyder. Maybe you could attach him in some kind of a deal. Maybe Jansen, right? Maybe you could throw Refsnyder in there. Or maybe Duran could be used as a piece. You know, I mean, you do have quite a few lefties in here. Duran has value. If I know the trade market seems to be just blah, right? I don't know. Cease, Chris Getz, I don't know what he's even thinking anymore. I don't know. But no team seems to really want to even come close to what he's asking for. I think he's making a mistake, honestly. I think he probably should have taken a deal by now. That's a whole other story. Luzardo has been a dream, but at this point, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Does something pick up in the trade market once Snell and Montgomery come off? I don't know. So, but like the point is the Red Sox, they have a lot of outfielders, whereas the Angels, on the other hand, they could just fit Duvall, right? And it's more of a clean fit. Where the Red Sox, they would have to make some kind of a move, a corresponding move after that. So we'll have to see here. I don't know, but I think that could get interesting. I know Duvall, that's not the most interesting signing out there, but if he ends up going back to the Red Sox, that could open up something. Maybe something minor, or maybe even something major. Who knows? When one domino falls, ladies and gentlemen, another one can fall after that, right? When one door opens, who knows? Maybe something else opens as well. We never know. The offseason, one thing happens, and things can just get moving. All right, so we'll have to see. Again, Duvall, maybe not the most interesting piece, but maybe that could open up something more interesting down the road. We'll have to see. But everyone, that's pretty much all I got for tonight. I know that's pretty disappointing. I can tell by the viewership. Did we even hit 300 people in this chat tonight? I don't even know. This offseason is ice cold. My goodness. I'll be honest with you. I honestly think this is one of the worst off seasons of all time. Like, it's good in some ways where, you know, we've had, obviously, you know, the Ohtani news, the Yamamoto news, the constant rumors. That was fun, but as a whole, right now it's rough. Like, it's just, it feels like there's no momentum. It almost feels kind of like the lockout. Almost. Not really, but like that's how quiet it is right now. It's just tough. It's tough right now. And as a guy that's, you know, running this channel full time now, it's like, okay, I need a little something to talk about here, right? So, not the most electric lineup tonight when it comes to the news, but we do have to talk the news, and this is what I had for today. But make sure, go watch the Trevor Bauer video that I put out. If you are bored and you need some kind of off-season content, look out for that. I do have a couple more videos coming very soon. I got one video, free agent signings that almost happened. That's an interesting one if you want to have a glance back to the past. Some pretty fun ones are going to be on that list, so be on the lookout for that video. I probably won't. I would like to upload that this weekend. I'll see if I can get it done. But I don't know. To me, if I do upload it, it would have to be tomorrow night. I don't want to upload it on Saturday because no one is going to be paying attention to baseball on Saturday. That's a football day. So I don't know. I don't know if that would even do well with viewership, and I don't know. So we'll see. But be on the lookout for that, everyone. Everyone, if you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. And make sure that bell notification is turned on just in case anything happens. I know it's quiet. I know it's lonely out there. It's cold. But make sure the bell's on so that way if something does happen, you'll know I'm going live. If you can, share the show for the people that weren't able to tune in tonight. And subscribe if you are new in this chat or on the replay. Everyone, thank you so much for tonight, for stopping by. I know it's quiet right now. We will get through this together. I promise. We will do it. Everyone, have yourself a great rest of your night. And hey, if anything does happen tomorrow night, Fridays have been busy. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. We have had some things happen on Fridays in this offseason. So keep that in mind. But everyone, have yourself a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.